Hi, boys and girls. Well, now we're going to read about a community. That's a group of people who worked together to solve a problem they had and help the planet at the same time. And the story is called Energy Island. And it says down here how one community harnessed the wind and changed their world. And it's written by Ellen Drummond. Pretty neat picture, and I think it gives us a pretty good clue as to what the book is going to be about. So here we go. Energy Island, how one community harnessed the wind and changed their world, while at the same time protecting the world for everybody else. Welcome to Energy Island. The real name of our island is Somoso, but we like to call it Energy Island. Not too long ago, we were just ordinary people living on an ordinary island in the middle of Denmark. In many ways, Samso was still not very different from where you live. We have lots of fields and farms where farmers raise cows and sheep and grows crops like potatoes, peas, corn, and strawberries. And there is a harbor where the ferry and the fishing boats come in. Our little home has recently become quite famous, and scientists travel from all over the world just to talk to us and learn about what we've done. Why is that? Well, it's an interesting story. Let's go. Hold on to your hats. It's a new book, so the pages are pretty sticky. Our island is in the middle of Denmark, and it's in the middle of the sea. And we know that an island is a landform that is surrounded by water. That's why it's always very windy here. Oops! What did she lose? Yep, you got it. Her hat. In the summer, we have fun at the beach. And in winter, we play games inside. We have villages and schools. Kids play soccer and grown-ups go to the grocery store. It's very ordinary here, apart from the wind. And we learned about how wind is a force. I can see it blowing a lot of things in their country. The way we used to use energy was very ordinary too. On a dark winter night, we switched on lights and turned up our heaters to keep us warm. We used hot water without even thinking. Our oil arrived by a tanker ship and a truck, and we used it to fill up our cars and our heating system. And our electricity came from the mainland by cable that traveled under the sea. A few years ago, most of us didn't think much about where our energy came from or how it was made. That was before our island won a very unusual competition. The Danish Ministry of Environment and Energy chose Samso as the ideal place in Denmark to become independent of non-renewable energy. Now we know renewable means we can always have it. Non-renewable means once it's used up, it's gone. A teacher named Stephen Hammerson was selected to lead the Energy Independent Project. He was a very ordinary person too. So it's just a teacher who's going to try and educate the island. Okay, fine. He did play bass guitar in a band, but his favorite subject was environmental studies, and he was very excited about energy independence. Independence means that you're not connected to somebody else. You do it by yourself. Tell me, class, what are some ways we could make our own energy right here on the island? Capture heat from the sun. Use oils from the crops. Ride bicycles instead of driving cars. Burn straw and wood. So they're coming up with some pretty good ideas. Imagine if we could make enough energy from the sun and our crops and even our own legs to power up the whole island. Then we wouldn't need the oil tankers to come here. We wouldn't have to worry about the world's oil running out. And we wouldn't need electricity to be sent from the mainland. Renewable resources are so much cleaner. And think of the money we'd save. We just need to think big. But how do you think we can really create that much energy ourselves? Certainly not just from the sun, our crops, and our legs. Well, said Catherine, if there's one thing our island has plenty of, it's wind. Maybe we should start with wind energy. Why, that's a wonderful idea, said Mr. Emerson. Who's with me? Hold on to your hats, he all said. The kids were very excited about all the new ideas. But as for the grown-ups, well, it took them a little while to catch on. It'll cost millions of dollars, said Jorgen Tranberg. All these cows keep me busy enough already. Heat from the sun, said Peter Poulin. Why would we bother with that? As long as I can keep my house warm and watch TV, I'm happy. I don't need any change. Bicycles, said Morgan's mailer. No way, I love my truck. Why us? Said Dorothy Cudson. Let some other island take on the challenge. Renewable energy? Said Jens Henson. I'm too old for that. Samso is just an ordinary kind of place, said Ola Jorgensen. What difference can we do to make the world? Energy independence in your dream, said Petra Peterson. So the kids are excited about becoming more modern, but the grown-ups, they're having a hard time changing. So we're going to need to change their opinions by carefully educating them. But Swan Hammerson wouldn't give up. He called lots of local meetings. There's energy all around us, he told the islanders. We just need to work together and think big to make the best of it. Teach the children to do it. What if I built a small wind turbine for my family? We're just a little island. How can we make a difference? Brian, don't talk about small. You got to think big. He talked to everyone, the soccer team, the farmers, and all the teachers, the police, the lighthouse keeper, the harbor master, the fisherman, and the dentist. And this went on for several years. People listened, and lots of them even agreed with what Mr. Hammerson was saying, but nothing happened. Was anyone really willing to make the change? So he's persevering. He's using one of our crab's traits. He's going to keep going and trying to educate these people to change their opinions. Then one day, the electrician, Brian Cager, called Swan Hammerson. I'm thinking small, he said. I'd like to put up a second-hand wind turbine next to my house. Jorgen Tranberg was thinking big. I want a huge wind turbine. I'll invest my money and then sell all the electricity that it makes. Mr. Hammerson was excited. 2 renewable energy projects had begun, one very small and one very big. That's great because then they can compare and contrast. Brian called on his family and friends to help him put up one small wind turbine. And look, he's put the Danish flag on top. While it took a big ship, some giant trucks, and two enormous cranes to build Tranbergs. This one here, wow. That one's a big one. So which one do you think would make more power? Do you think it would be the small system or the big system? The project on SAMSO had begun, but we were still using a lot of non-renewable energy. It looked like we might never achieve our dream until one dark winter's night. Sleet and snow blasted across the island. Suddenly, all the electricity on the entire island went out. Everything went dark. Wait a second. I still see some light. Do you see where the light is coming from? Everything, that is, except Brian's house. Free electricity, shouted Brian. My turbine works. Tonight I am energy independent. Sure enough, the blades on Brian's new turbine were whooshing and whirling in the wind. Hold on to your hats, cried Mr. Hemerson. News travels fast on a small island like Samso. After that night, everyone was asking how they could make energy on their own. So that was pretty neat because Brian still had lights, he still had heat, and everything in his house was still working. But everybody else that was relying on energy from other places, they lost it. Suddenly, Mr. Hemerson was busier than ever, helping people start new energy projects. The whole island got to work. Some people had big ideas, some people had small ideas, but all of them were important in working towards meeting the whole island's goal. The Holm family installed solar panels on their farm. Today, their sheep are munching grass while the panels soak up energy from the sun. Mr. Jorgensen built a biomass furnace. It burns straw instead of oil, and that's how he heats his house and his neighbor's house too. In fact, biomass is so big on Samso that whole villages are now heated by burning wood and straw that's grown on the island. Eric Anderson makes tractor fuel from his canola oil. And Brian's wife, Bettina, whizzes around in an electric car, and their windmill powers the batteries. Today, we even have electric bicycles charged by the power of, you guessed it, the wind. Every one of us has an energy independent story, and that's why people all over the world want to hear the latest news from Energy Island. Let's see if Mr. Tranberg will take us up the ladder to the very top of his fantastic wind turbine so we can see what Samso looks like today. Wow, that's a very tall ladder to be climbing. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's the island today with all of their renewable energy sources. As you can see, there's plenty going on. Now we have lots of wind turbines. Down there is Samso's brand new learning center, the Energy Academy, where kids and grown-ups from all over the world come to learn about what we achieved and to talk about new ideas for creating, sharing, and saving energy. Wow, so they're being very environmentally friendly now. And the picture doesn't look as gray anymore. Guess who the director of the academy is? Yep, you guessed it, Mr. Hemerson. Things have certainly changed on our little island in the past few years. We no longer need the oil tankers, and we don't need electricity from the mainland. In fact, on very windy days, we have so much power that we send our electricity to them. Samso may be a small island, but we have made a difference in the world, reducing our carbon emissions by 140% in just 10 years. And we did it working together. So that's how we got the name Energy Island. And what can you do to make a difference at your home? What's that? You say you don't live on an island? Well, maybe you think you don't live on an island, but actually you do. We all do. We're all islanders on the biggest island of them all, planet Earth. So it's up to us to figure out how to save it. There's renewable energy all around us. We just need to work together to make the best use of it. Hold on to your hats. Pretty neat. So they thought of a way to become energy independent by working together as a community. So, team, scroll on down and figure out what your assignment for today is to do with Energy Island.